right now. I think he'd have that energy that you guys know. I think he'd say he's excited. I think he'd be happy, and we just got to keep it going that way.
The versatility of Sean Wade and Brendan White, what does that do for your defense? Thrown together.
It lets us be more creative, you know. It lets us do more things, especially situationally. Maybe third down, you know, you can get a little bit more creative. It gives you more depth in certain areas. You know, if a guy gets hurt here, he can go there, but he can also go there. You can move around guys, you know. So it's good to have guys that can do multiple things.
Do you feel like there's going to be a lot of different...
You got to be next. I'm sorry. You've been unbelievable.
He's late. I've been trying to.
You're late to the game,
So here's what we'll do. You're guaranteed next, all right?
And
so
fellow Jersey guys too, right?
If you're a Jersey guy, I might skip you.
Ocean City.
You go first, and then you got to come in
I was
next.
going to say, I know you didn't recruit either of these guys, Bryson Shaw and Craig Young, but you could kind of just walk through your impressions of what both of those guys bring to the defense. I know Bryson Shaw at safety, but Craig Young is kind of a guy, he's positionless right now, but Coach Day said he can fit multiple spots. What can you say about both of those guys coming
athletic,
in?
fast, tough, love football. I mean, look what Bryson just did, right?
Yeah.
In that lacrosse game. You guys had watched him move around, how athletic he was. I mean, he looked pretty good on TV. I watched his games, and I was excited for him. Great competitor. And I think they're two really good kids. So I'm excited. I can't really tell you that I've seen a whole lot of them playing football other than the film that I watched when I got here, since they were committed, right, and signed. But I watched them work out yesterday. They're talented guys, very talented.
And then, too, the second-year guys coming back at corner, Seven Banks and Tyree Johnson. Just what were your impressions of how they came along this spring?
I think they were young, and I think, you know, they're maturing, and they're starting to see what could be for them if they put in the work with Mick, with us. They've got talent, they've got size. I mean, you see how long those guys are, right? So they're what you're looking for when you draw them up. Now we just got to keep working their fundamentals and their technique, and just keep training them. And I think they'll, you know, I'm hoping that they can develop. And don't forget guys like Cam Brown in there too.
Right.
You know, again, they've done a really good job bringing in good players here, and now it's going to be our job to develop them.
You mentioned that interchangeability. It looked like a lot of times this spring you guys only had one deep safety. In the past, there's been a lot of two deep safeties here. Are you looking, when you're setting your lineup, are you looking for two deep safeties, or are you just kind of looking for one, or does it kind of vary by package?
Both. We want to surprise you and people. So I'm not saying that to be a smart ass or anything.
No,
that's just the truth. I think this spring it was learn how to walk the right way and then start to jog the right way. And now I think we'll get running. And I think that if you were at practice, which I'm sure you guys were a little bit, I think you did see it was pretty simple. And we'll keep it that way for the players, but there'll be more creativity. And you'll see two safeties back there, one safety back there, maybe three safeties back there. And that's just the truth. I'm not trying to be evasive or let people read. No, we'll do a bunch of both.
I don't know if you can even give me a ballpark number. How many different packages are there? How many different personnel alignments are there that you could potentially use over the course of the season?
Me, or just defensively?
Defensively.
Well, I think I was around some systems where you had 10 packages in a game. I think that's too many. What I think is important that we do is players that deserve to play and have proven that they deserve to play. And what do I mean by that? They're doing all the right things in the weight room, in school, off the field, and on the field. I think you can create simple packages and just plug a guy in to have a role, because I think the more guys that have a role on the team, then the more ownership they'll have, the more they'll feel part of it. And I think that's really good for a football team, and it's really good for a defense. Does that make sense?
So there's a lot of interchangeable parts. You could take one guy out, put one guy in, and maybe his role's slightly different.
That's right. If I thought you could cover a tight end really well,
I can't.
But say you could, right? Because you look like you could. So if I thought you could cover a tight end really good, I could plug you in on a call and have you cover the tight end and give you a few snaps and nice job. You might get an interception, return for a touchdown, help us win the game. So you want guys to feel that way, you know?
You were asked about all the corners.
How many more does he get?
Just
okay, one more, and then.
No, I want to ask about Marcus Williamson, because he didn't come up with the corners. He hadn't really asked about the spring. Just kind of wanted to know what his status was, where he's at right now.
He looked good running today. He's been injured, as you know, so I didn't really get a really good chance to see him. I'm excited to. I think everybody's kind of excited to, right? Because he's been injured quite a bit. So I'm really hoping he can stay healthy. And I think that will help us out. So I think when we come in training camp, ask me that question again, and I hope we're having some really good answers.
Trent.
No, I'm good. You can go ahead.
Trent,
He's going to be the guy that
transfer
coach
portal's mainly a quarterback thing at this point. Are you worried about it spreading? And what are your thoughts on the whole thing? I know there's a lot more positions.
That's a
but-
good question, because when I got here, I didn't even know a transfer portal existed.
Right.
I had no idea. It wasn't like that 8 years ago.
Right.
So I try not to think about it. You know, you try to coach everybody as hard as you can. You try to be fair to everybody the best that you can. You can't treat them all the same. You try to be there for them. Hopefully you have a great relationship, and you try not to think about it, because I'm not going to coach scared or, you know, be afraid to coach hard,
Right.
and then say, oh no, I coached you too hard today, and so I don't know. That's something that you got to kind of see how it goes, right? I think we'll have better feel for it as we get going, and happens. But when did they even? I mean, how long has this been going on for?
Just last year.
So yeah, so we'll see how it
With
goes.
your NFL, with the NFL thing though, it's like free agency.
It is like free agency,
right? I mean, it's
but you can't just. You're
but it's
under
a-
contract. You can't just walk out.
Yeah, the NFL
Right.
guys have 4 or
Right.
5 year
right.
contracts.
So-
it's a players' rights issue is really what it gets into, which it gets dicey.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know where you stand on that whole thing. Having been in the NFL,
I got too much to think about right now to start thinking about that stuff. I might have to think about that while I'm on vacation this summer.
Where are you going?
We were going to go to Florida. I'm going to go see some of my family in New Jersey. And then I'll be here. I need to be here a little bit. Kind of see what Columbus is all about and hang out with my family. You've been very patient.
Thank you. I try. For Ryan to announce today that he's a part of a mental health charity for children and adolescents, as a guy who has his hands on a lot of young people, wants to see them do well, what does that mean to you that that's where he's planting his flag, where he's investing his time and money? And the fact he brought up, I couldn't tell if you guys have 4 mental health professionals working with the team, or he said
2 and 2. I think.
was it 2 and 2?
I think that's right. Yep.
Okay.
I think it's awesome. And I think you're right. I mean, we work with young people every single day, and it is such an issue right now, not just in our country, but in the whole world, right? I mean, we all see what's happening. So for him to pick that and attack that, I commend him and have so much respect for him and his wife for starting that. But that's one of the reasons, too, that you kind of get excited about coming back to coaching college football, because you are dealing with younger people that maybe you can help them more than a 30-year-old, help them grow, help them mature, help them develop. So that is one of the differences, right? I mean, I'm not just there for these guys as a coach in a lot of respect. I'm there to be more than that, because they are young. So I think that's great that Ryan and Nina did that.
Is there, how can I put this, some bravery associated with that? Because there is a stigma around mental health. I mean, he could have made his big push pediatric cancer or puppies for veterans or unicorns and rainbows, but he's attacking an issue where there is still a little stigma attached.
Sure.
Do you see some bravery in him?
But I mean, I think you guys have gotten to know Ryan. That's him, right? I think Ryan is a guy who is going to do what he feels is best for people, for himself, for the team, for his family. And I don't think he's going to worry about what anyone else thinks. And I think that you guys have interviewed him and dealt with him. That's what makes him such an unbelievable person. And that's what is going to make him such an unbelievable head coach. I mean, I think Ryan's going to do the right thing regardless of what other people think. And that's very hard to do nowadays, especially in his position. So I think everybody needs to respect him for that and commend him for that, because I think it's awesome.
Have you seen a culture shift in college? I mean, you've been around college and pro. I've got buddies who say there's just more and more kids going into therapy, going into counseling. Have you?
I haven't been here enough to see it yet.
Well, right.
So,
I mean, but
no, there's not
Not
enough.
here.
There's not enough for me to even comment on that. I just
Okay.
don't know. And that, again, that's the truth. I'm not.
right. That's
Do
fine.
you think that the mental health issue is even something that's a little extra important for football because it can get intertwined with the head injuries, and especially with guys later in life?
That's-
Because sometimes people will have mental health issues, they don't know what's caused it, but whatever caused it, it's something that's got to be dealt with.
That's a discussion for another day. That's a tough one. We can talk about that another time. That's one I need to think about also. Again, not avoiding it, but
That's what I was totally
not just being honest with you.
That's a pay grade issue.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pediatric cancer and pets for vets, by the way, are important.